What's up, guys? Got a very cool build to show off. I was fortunate enough to pick up my build number 100, Kraken build number 2. I made this back in 2019. So what, 5 years ago? Technically not 5. 5 if you look at the numbers, but let's see. When did I start building? April. So this would have been like late 2019. So in theory, it's more like 4 years old. So this is Kraken number 2. This is one of the original dials from the guy that I worked with who made these by hand. Some kind of form of decoupage. If I recall, he said it was like 11 or 12 steps to do them and paint them. So this is the brass one with a black background. I think in general I've done brass with a black background, but not a build this style. You'll notice the ones I got from him. Specifically, I am kind of working towards some of these details. I've been adding tentacles onto mine, or the little suctions on the tentacles. He has the elongated 12-3-6-9 and had the markings around and formed into a border, which I do not have. I am working to add a border and add that on there. I have added those onto mine. There was about 200 of them that were not like that. So I'm starting to work on that now because I really like the look of the old ones. And I only have one other original from him that I've never built, that no one's ever seen yet, that I'm saving for a time when I put that one up. So swapped over the movement, so it's got a fresh movement in there. Granted, these things, the movements are like a 10-year service period. I just want to make sure all was good. It ran fine. I've kept it sitting off to the side, so I'll just use it for something for myself. Kept the case, kept the bezel and insert. Everything looked good there. Swapped in a different crown. That's where contact's made. Contact's made with the caseback, so it has a fresh limited production AR coated large window exhibition caseback, just like the original. Then the band was replaced. Before, it had an SS band that was done in black. So now you have a distressed black Italian leather. And then you also have a custom aged and laser engraved brass preview buckle, Kraken buckle here. And that's the build. So the dial's original, the hand's original, bezel, insert, movement holder, rotor, and caseback ring. And then newly you've got a fresh caseback, fresh movement, fresh Italian leather band, and obviously put this on it to kind of go with it. And bezel on this is so freaking tight, which is because the original guy that I used for cerakoted, it was a problem. He put so many layers on there that it was almost impossible for me to put my bezel on there. And I was finally able to snap it on, but it is on there so freaking tight. So you're not going to move that unless you want to move it. So it is not done like that since, but it was a problem because you couldn't get the glass in, you couldn't get the crown threaded on, you couldn't get the caseback ring threaded on. It was just so, the tolerances were so tight. I remember busting so many pieces of glass. With this thick acrylic, you can crack it, and I was putting so much pressure on my handle. My handle's my piece works well, and I still have kept it. But just for a reference, from these my original Cerakote guy, if you ever go and look, you'll notice that your stuff is not like this. This was me bending this handle, and because this handle was normally like this. If you look on Amazon, there it's a normal handle, and this is super hard. But I was standing on this thing and pushing them in there because I was using Dremels and everything to try and like knock it down on the inside, and I couldn't do it. So I was like, I'm just going to force them in. So I just started forcing them in, and as I was forcing them in, the glass was giving way and splintering, but it was taking out those sections of Cerakote and basically reforming it to where I needed it to be. And then I cleaned it all up. But I've kept that press since then, and it's fine. That thing doesn't bend anymore, and you'd think, well, now it's got some angle to it. It's going to, it's still super, super strong, but I was standing on that thing, putting so much pressure on it to get them in. So you are not going to move that bezel unless you want to. So you get to see the bezel will turn left, it'll turn right. You're not moving it unless you are wanting to move it. It is not going to move for you. As always, automatic mechanical. You got your rotor in the back, 31-hour power reserve. Unscrew the crown until you hear it clicking. At that point you can wind, and a wind is a turn away from you. Turning it towards you doesn't do anything, but it's a lot easier to keep your finger spacing and just go back and forth. If you do this for 4 or 5 seconds before you put it on, that mixed with the rotor movement in the back will keep you wound throughout the day. But if you're not going to be very active sitting at a desk driving, just go ahead and do this for another 10 seconds or so and max out that 31-hour power reserve. You cannot overwind it, so don't worry about that. So you can sit here and wind it all day if you want. But when you're done with your winding, you're going to pull it to the one and only click to set your time. It does not have a hacking movement, so it's going to keep going on you. You'll also notice you still have your wobble crown that deflects lateral pressure from going into the stem and into the movement. So when you're pushing and prying on it, you're not putting any adverse pressures on anything. Okay, Google, what time is it? It's 1:20 p.m. And you can go from winding it to setting the time, but you cannot go from setting the time back to winding it. You have to re-engage the clutch system all the way at wind. And now, when you back it back out, you can wind. This also, that wobble crown separates here, so if you ever get an impact with this is screwed in, it won't transfer into the movement. So, build number 100, Kraken number 2. Just revamped, new warranty, pretty much original. As far as you would be able to tell other than the band, it looks original. Because I happen to still have these. I don't advertise these either. So if you ask for this stuff, if you ask for something like this, I may or may not do them. The story on this was I was able to buy a watch that was modified at one point from somebody and had one back here. I liked it so much and I tried to find them. I couldn't find them. Well, come to find out, the guy that I've been working with actually used to make these. And I told him, dude, I want those. He sold them for like $50, and he goes, the machine that made them broke, and honestly I didn't make enough off of them in general because a lot of people weren't spending $50 on casebacks. He said, I didn't make enough money off of these in general to even remotely constitute owning the machine, let alone having it fixed. And I was like, dude, that sucks. So he's like, yeah, that's the case with that. So every once in a while I'd bring that up to him because he would still have casebacks mentioned on his site, but he didn't actually sell casebacks. I'm like, why don't you remove that? He just never did. Well, he ends up going through a divorce, and when he goes through a divorce, he has to like clean out his whole company, like his office and everything. And while he's doing that, on the shelf he finds a tray with these on there where he forgot that he had them. And he gives me like a good price on them, like 25 or $30 a piece, so long as I at least buy 20. And if you know me, I don't like competition or people being able to copy me or anything like that. So I was like, how many do you have? And he's like, I think he had like 78. I was like, sold. I'll take all of them. And I've maybe put out 10 of them. So I do have a plethora of them, but they're the only ones that we're ever going to have. There are some color changing ones that you can get in Germany. They're very cool, but they are not this. They are not this style. It is larger, but with this 090 case, it passes it over nicely. You're just not going to find them. And they're very special, very unique. and I bought them about 2 years after I told them that I wanted them. So I've held on to those for a very long time. So this originally came with one, so it still gets one. As with every build, you're going to get matching beads. So that's the backstory on the AR coated large window exhibition casebacks. Matching beads, obviously not the original ones, but looks very close. He kept those beads, which I'm perfectly fine with. This will come in the very first black, which I only have one of these. I have a looking really nice dark gray one right now. Black 3D printed Kraken treasure box. And I happen to have some coasters that matched it fairly close. You're not going to get antique bronze cerakote to match, but fairly close. And then you can kind of see where the what she had in there was starting to lighten up. I have a lot of these made just off the back end of whatever she's currently making. Like, hey, you have enough there to make some coasters. So I get a lot of multicolored, cool-looking coasters. So you can see it was just kind of transitioning there from on the spool. I think, yeah, you even have a little bit. See where it's starting to move into a new color? And then I've got ones that start using that color predominantly. So that'll come with 4 coasters as well. As with everybody, you're going to get watch foamer. This is my new foamer, 2-ounce bottle. A little bit will go a long way. So this is good for glass and metal. So just a little tiny squirt on there. Use your included microfiber, which should be a gray one, until I get my custom logo made ones. I just found out the reason that they were delayed is the company that made them for me, their whole facility burned down. So I've been waiting for 3 months for something, and apparently I'm going to get them soon, but didn't have a lot of contact for a little while and wasn't too concerned about it because they've been good, and found out that the whole facility burned down. So that's interesting. But that will come with microfiber, and that you'll also get some leather conditioner to keep this strap perfectly soft. Apply it on the front and back, let it soak in, remove any excess. That's only if this is not easily pliable, you know what I mean? If you feel that it's getting stiff, use it. Use a rag or something like that. Don't use one of your microfibers. And then lastly, you're going to get some fine scratch remover. This is Novus 2 from Amazon, just repackaged. It's for your acrylic glass because you can scratch it, but no big deal. Also, I did swap out the glass on this. I don't know if I mentioned that, but glass was also swapped out. If you ever nick the glass, put a tiny bit of this on it, buff it out using your included microfiber that will match in color. Go up and down, left and right, fill that scratch, haze it, buff it out. If it's still there, revisit it in a little bit. If you scratch the Cerakote, if it's down to the metal, which will be tough because this is thick Cerakote. If it's down to that, it's just like a car. You have to redo the whole thing, so not happening. But if it's light, use like gun oil or something like that, and it will kind of, blend it in a little bit better. Kind of put like a top coating kind of on there, and it's kind of like those scratch pens you see on cars where like the scratch is still there, but you're kind of filling it. You don't really see it anymore. And that's what gun oil, my understanding, will do. I haven't really scratched any of mine, but my Cerakote guy says to do that. So that's the build. Build number 100 revamped. I didn't really have to rebuild it because the case, some of that stuff was already put together. Technically, I did build it again, but we're not going to go it that way. It's build 100 revamped. So that's it. And if it's going to you, congrats. You got something very awesome and something I did a very long time ago. And I hope you love it. And this is one of the things that literally started the Krakens. I bought 3 from him. Everybody loved him. I bought more from him. Everybody loved him. I went to buy more from him. He said, hey, I'm moving and my new place isn't going to have a shop. And this is low on the totem pole for things that I need to do. And this is just a hobby. So see ya. And then I had to find a new Kraken guy and develop the dials with him. And which is why they're a little bit different. So, but this is what kind of launched custom dials for me. Probably this build. This out of 2 other builds, or 3 other builds, or 2 other builds for 3 total. So I appreciate this a ton, but I know it needs to go to somebody who appreciates it as well. And I have plenty of Krakens. I have all kinds, and because I love them just as much. But this should go out to somebody else. You guys are the ones that helped me start everything, and it should go back out to one of you guys. So if it goes to you, thank you so much. I appreciate you a ton. And if you want me to build you something custom and unique, reach out and I'll see what I can do. And if you want to continue to see videos like this, like and subscribe, as I put them up all the time. Thanks, guys.